Hi, this is Eddie with A Mindful Emergence, where Margaret and I are in the waking up business. And as a result, some of the work that we do is related to plant medicine and other psychedelics. And as a result of that, sometimes the topic of cannabis comes up. And here's an example of just one of many conversations that I've had over the last 2 or 3 years. I was talking to a woman about cannabis, and she goes, I love cannabis, but I don't want to get arrested. I don't want to get in trouble. Well, I live in Asheville, North Carolina, where there are at least 25 dispensaries in this town where you can go and buy something called THCA. And I pointed that out, and she said, What's THCA? I was surprised. In fact, I'm no longer in shock to hear that question because I keep talking to people over and over and over again who don't know what THC is. So that's what this video is about. What is THCA? Well, simply put, THCA is hemp that is picked about 30 days early before its THC content reaches 0.3%. Now, you probably know that THC, maybe you know, stands for tetrahydrocannabinoid. It is the psychoactive cannabinoid within cannabis that gets you high. So when this cannabis is picked early, before it reaches 0.3% of THC, it's still legal. And this is because of the 2018 Farm Bill that makes it legal across the country. Now, different states approach it differently in terms of what kind of regulations they have and so on and so forth. But in Asheville, North Carolina, and I haven't looked around the rest of the state, but here you can go in and buy a wide variety of products. And I'm going to talk about flower because there are obviously other products in these dispensaries, but flower is really the only one that I feel comfortable talking about. So here's the deal. When I first learned myself about THCA a few years ago, I was talking with a friend of mine named Dave, who has been trained, he's highly educated, and he said to me, Eddie, you can get just as high on THCA as you can on anything else that you get, including the illegal stuff, the stuff that's because regular THC is not legal in North Carolina. It's not one of the 24 states that has legalized it. So I have had experience with THCA personally in all kinds of ways. I've used it for meditation. I've used it for pain management, for creativity. I've used it as a psychedelic. Yes, you can use cannabis as a psychedelic. In fact, I did a video about that. You can check it out on my channel. And I just use it sometimes just for enjoyment, getting together with friends and listening to music and so on. And what I can tell you is that you can go to dispensaries and get flower and vape it or smoke it and have the same experience you can getting it from Cousin Joey. And the advantage of buying THCA at a dispensary rather than getting it from Cousin Joey is that you can find out more about what you're actually getting. I did a video recently on why you should learn about terpenes. Well, right now, I only did this video about a week ago and it's already got 11,000 views. So this topic of terpenes is something that obviously people are interested in and something I suggest you learn about because if you're going to use cannabis intentionally as a form of THCA, knowing about terpenes and also cannabinoids can be very helpful in understanding how to use it effectively. So, on this topic of THCA and THC, there is a wide-ranging discussion amongst many people and some pretty strong arguments that it's not the same. Well, people will say, well, I've smoked THC and I've smoked THCA and I like THC better. Well, the reality is that the reason they might like the THC better than the THCA that they tried is maybe it has the cannabinoids and the terpenes in that particular strain that seems to work better for them. Okay, that's it. So I had a direct experience myself because I went to California last Christmas, Margaret and I did, because I have my daughter out there. And even though she's not interested in cannabis at all, I told her, I said, honey, I want you to take me to a dispensary. And it was just a matter of a few hours after we landed and got to her house that she took me over to a place. And when I walked in, it was very, very similar in many, many ways to the dispensaries that I walk into here in Asheville, with two significant differences. One is when you walk in, there's a guy in a uniform, all official looking, and he checks your ID and takes you through this process of allowing you to actually shop there. Now, in some of the dispensaries here, they'll check my ID, some don't. But the wide degree of professionalism in dispensaries is a whole nother topic that I covered in a video called How to Choose a Dispensary. But anyway, to that point, they're not logging you in and doing all that stuff. The second difference is the cost. Now, I noticed as I was looking at the prices of the different flowers, and I only wanted a gram. I'm only going to be there less than a week, and I'm a light smoker, so that's all I needed. I noticed that the price of a gram there was about the same as the price of a gram here. It was somewhere around $12 or so. But here in Asheville, we have just the normal, what is it, 7% tax that I would pay if I bought a carton of eggs. Out there, I don't know exactly what the taxes are, 30%, 35%. And so it really increases the price. And I didn't really mind paying it so much because apparently a lot of the taxes are used for doing harm reduction education and treatment and different kinds of things like that. That's what I've heard. But the reality of it is that I smoked it and I liked it, but it's not like I noticed a big difference. And I did, when I bought it, check a COA, which is a certificate of analysis, with the bud tender to get the certain terpenes and cannabinoids that I particularly like, just as I do here. So that's what THCA is. Okay. It's the same thing. It's just picked early. So based on the Farm Bill, it's legal. So if you want more information, I encourage you to check it out. If you are confused about this, if you're thinking about getting involved using cannabis intentionally, you can reach out to me. I do consulting. I've got lots of other videos. Check it out. Please put your comments in there if you have any. Like this video, it helps out our channel. And of course, subscribe because I'm just pumping out a whole lot of content you just might find interesting. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next video.